What is going on, Sabres fans, and welcome to another episode of the Sabres Spotlight podcast, where we shine a light on all things Sabres hockey. Ryan, what's going on?
A lot's going on. Welcome back to me. I'm going to congratulate myself on returning to the podcast because it's been a while. Guys, there is a new member of my family. My son Quinn was born on October 4th, and he's doing great. Mom's doing great. My dog's doing great, like super well adjusted so far. And we're in the trenches a little bit. It's a little difficult, but it's so much fun. I honestly, you and like all my other friends and like family are all like, you never know like what real love is until like, you welcome a child into this world. And like, dude, it's so true. Like I'm just experiencing things like I've never even dreamed of. It's awesome. It's an awesome time so far, even though we're kind of in the trenches and I'm really tired and I really want to talk about Sabres hockey and I miss coming on here, but it's been really, really fun at my house so far.
October 4th, man. It's been over 2 weeks already. It's crazy.
Yep. I had to take some time. There were times when I'm like, I can ask Matt if I can come record this week. And I know you were on vacation, but I'm like,
hmm
there's no way. I'm too tired. So I'm glad that like you were gone for a little bit,
Yeah, yeah.
and we just couldn't get an episode in.
Well, it kind of worked out because he said I was away, and then you had that going on, which that happened shortly like after I recorded the solo episode.
Yep.
And so it's been like probably a little over a couple weeks. And yeah, welcome back to the show. Our first episode of season 2 during the regular season that we could both reflect on some Sabres hockey games. It's been a little up and down, but super excited for you guys. And we got the chance to meet Quinn as well. And he's just like the cutest little dude. So really excited to welcome him to the family and the Sabres family. We made a joke
Dude.
that
Oh,
the,
dude. So let me interrupt you. His
go ahead.
first weekend, his first weekend in this world did not experience a Buffalo sports win because we lost the two games in Prague, and then the Bills lost to Houston. So it took him a while to experience a win.
Yeah, we welcomed him to Buffalo fandom like with a slap in the face right away. The
It's so
Houston game,
funny.
the Bills Houston game was a typical like Bills fan game of just like they find a way to lose that game. Like how do
Yep.
you lose that game when you get the ball like where we had it with like 20 seconds left? Like, oh my
Yep.
god.
I think so. My son was in the NICU for a little bit, so he didn't actually watch the game with me. But I went upstairs to watch it because I needed like a minute away. It's a lot being in the NICU. I'm sure NICU parents can understand, what that life is like. But like I'm gonna go and watch a little bit of the game, and I come back and I literally looked at my son and I was like, "I'm sorry that you were born in this city."
That is so funny. I never heard that story. That is so funny. All right. Well, again, congratulations. Super excited about that. I was just recently on vacation, so we took a family trip over to Lake George. We actually had a little like family emergency with my son Owen, and everything's okay. It all worked out, but he got he got into the dishwasher tabs and
At my
saw
house. This happened at my
yeah.
house. Everyone, this happened at my house. So I felt really bad about it, but I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah, he saw a little yummy red dot that he wanted to nibble on, and ate some soap, and we took him to the hospital and had a fun night till like 3:30 in the morning, and so that was a long and stressful night as well. But he ended up being okay, and then the vacation was much needed, after that, which was nice.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, so we went up to Lake George, which is just in the Adirondacks. It's about like 4.5 hours east of Buffalo. We've been there many, many times before. This is the first time we've actually been up there in like 3.5 years because last time we were up there is when we found out we were pregnant with Riley, my daughter, and she's like 3.5 now. So, but anyways, I went on. There's a fort up there, Fort William Henry. It's a quick story for the listeners. So this we went on this like haunted ghost tour. A lot of these places are supposedly haunted, where these battles are. A lot of like soldiers, passed and evil stuff happened and whatnot. So we go on this tour and they're telling us about all the battles there and some of like the almost like torture that went on there with some of like the natives and things like that. And so that's the whole theory behind this fort being haunted. So the guides literally tell you when you go in, it's like a little over an hour tour. They tell you when you go in there, like, we welcome any type of photography. That's how we capture these spirits. So you can snap pictures while you're going around. They take you to all these different spots of the fort, and apparently there's like 5 different spirits or like apparitions that like live there that are frequently encountered. And some of the stories they tell you are kind of crazy about what people have encountered there and what people have experienced there. But anyways, I caught one ghost at minimum, or one ghost at minimum, potentially two ghosts. But I'm gonna reveal, I'm gonna reveal live right now on the show the ghost that I found. So this was like I just took all these random pictures and then I'm like, all right, let's go through and see, do I see anything weird or whatever. So this is a picture I took on the inside of the fort, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit on you. I noticed this in the corner of my photo. I don't know how good this is going to look online, but if you're watching on YouTube, you can see. All right, so do you see like a face there?
I'm gonna be honest, it looks terrible.
Dude, all right, so it's hard to tell on that, but there's like, I'm gonna do what I can. I tried to get this to work, but there's like a nose right there. There's a
Okay.
chin. There's like hair right there, and it looks like he's wearing like a bodysuit or something there, like a soldier suit. So I saw
I
this
mean,
right away,
that's
and I
cool. That would freak me out so bad.
so I messaged Fort William Henry, their like Facebook thing, and I sent them this. I'm like, totally caught a ghost, and they're like, oh yeah, there's something going on there. It was hilarious.
Did you? So speaking of ghosts, so that's cool. Like you're a ghost believer then? Like you really think that like
Oh,
walk
absolutely,
this
yeah.
earth? Okay, that's. I mean, that's really cool. I think. I don't know. It's cool to think about, honestly.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, it's for whatever reason, I believe in all that stuff though. Like just like I'm obsessed. Well, my obsession lately with like the solar system and stuff. Like I definitely believe in like life on other planets and Bigfoot. Like definitely believe in like all these things that are like questionable. I'm like, yeah, why not believe in them? It's fun.
Yeah. See, you like the fun conspiracy theories, not like what goes around now, like the wackadoodle conspiracy theories that people come up with.
Oh
I
no,
like
no,
I
no.
like the fun ones, like Bigfoot and like Area
Loch
51.
Ness monster.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
exactly. Give me my tree fitty, Loch Ness monster.
Oh
But
yeah, don't even get me started on the ocean. We don't even know what's out there.
those are fun. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so that was cool. But sounds like I'm nice and well rested. You're not rested at
I'm
all,
about
but it sounds like
30%.
we're we're
I'm
ready to go.
30%. I'm 30%. I'm ready to talk hockey. I've sent you a lot of texts that just say I hate this team for the last couple weeks, so I'm excited to get into it.
It's been kind of interesting because the Sabres have played 7 games so far, and if you've been listening to the show, the solo show that I did last time, we already kind of recapped the Prague back to back games. So we're not gonna go through those. We're kind of gonna talk about some of our main bullet points, but just to recap where the Sabres have kind of gotten to this point over the last couple weeks. So they lose their home opener to the LA Kings 3-1. They follow that up with a 5-2 win over the Florida Panthers. Then they lose in overtime to Pittsburgh on national TV 6-5. They lose to the Columbus Blue Jackets 6-4, and then the latest game was a win over Chicago 4-2. So it's been kind of an interesting couple weeks for the Sabres, and for myself, I've had a lot going on. So I've seen about half of these games. I think you've pretty much watched most of these games, but I've obviously paid attention to what's going on, and we'll kind of give some analysis throughout the games here. But the Sabres are 2-4-1 through these first 7 games. So they got 5 points through these first 7 games. That's a 35.7 point percentage. So we can kind of track this as we go. Ideally, we want to be at around 60%. Like if we can get at like a 60% clip, then you're going to finish the season around 97 points. So they're well beyond that. This is early. We know it's early, but what are just some of your we'll break down some of the position groups in a second, but what are just kind of like some of your overall thoughts on like the start to the season in general for Lindy and the Sabres?
It's just disappointing because all off season they talked about getting off to a hot start, and even the players individually are like we have to hold each other accountable for like making mistakes, and then there are mistakes all over the ice and nothing is really done about it. Like we're going to get into positions, but there are specific players that I can't wait to talk about because what like specific players are basically ruining picking up points in some of these games. Like we really should have, and I know like woulda, coulda, shoulda. We should really be like 3-3 and 1. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason for this team to have started 2-4-1. It's with the talent level that they have, and the way that they're playing 5-on-5 is really, really good. But
Yeah,
everything
they're like
else
they're like one of the
is
highest
awful.
scoring teams 5-on-5.
Yeah, they're brilliant at 5-on-5. It's just special teams are crushing us, and goaltending lately.
Yeah. So what do you think is to blame for the slow start? Do you think it's just that? Do you think it's specific players? Do you think it's new head coach? Do you think it's new system? Do you think it's just kind of a lack of urgency? Like what do you think is like most to blame for kind of how the season has started? Because it's been inconsistent like we saw last season, but there's been a lot of change. So why do you think this is the case?
I think it's all of the above. It also doesn't help that Darlene is injured currently. Like,
Yeah.
he's our best player and carrying the play, and you even saw it. Was it Columbus when he went to go carry the puck up the right side and just got stripped, and then it just went in like bang 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 puck in the back of the net. Like, Rasmus Dahlin doesn't
No,
get
I'm
stripped
pretty
from
sure that
puck.
was I'm pretty sure that was against Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, okay, yeah, I wasn't sure which one. That doesn't happen to Rasmus Dahlin, and that's happened multiple times this year. I'm pretty sure that also happened to him against LA, maybe, or I'm not sure. They're all blending together, but him not being healthy is a big piece of it. I think going to Prague and then coming back a week later kind of sucked. Like, they couldn't really get any momentum. Like, even after losing those two games, they couldn't just come back and play another game on Tuesday to get it
Yeah.
going. They had to wait all the way to Thursday to play again. And I don't want to blame coaching yet, but the power play system is still absolutely brutal.
Yeah, the power play is something that we'll talk about in a little bit. I mean, they're 0 for right now. I also am curious if like the structure, like going to Prague, but just like the structure of the whole preseason kind of affected things. Like the fact that they didn't have a typical preseason and they were doing all this traveling, like you kind of get into things right away, and it's like that intensity jumps up right away, and it was an intense camp, but like there's no gradual progression of things or like toying with things or figuring things out or kind of finding your feet. It was kind of like, all right, we got to kind of like have our lineup set and get going right away, which can be a good thing. But I think for things like, especially when you have new players, when you have a new head coach, when you're trying to develop a new like offensive system with the power play, sometimes having like a more like normal off season or a preseason for that, I feel like can be helpful when you're trying to work out the kinks and kind of learn which players are kind of vibing with each other. It seemed like I'm wondering if almost like the shotgun start was a hindrance and they're trying to kind of still figure things out right now.
Yeah. Organizationally, dude, they're like over 50 on the power play. Like, all the way from NHL to AHL to ECHL. It's insane.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because Rochester, I think, is like so the Sabres are 0 for 21 so far, and I'm pretty sure Rochester's numbers is like very similar.
Like, over 19, and then Jacksonville, the ECHL affiliate, is like over 7. It's like it's like an unheard of anomaly. Like, I don't understand. Like, they can't even get a puck to go off someone's foot and in the net.
So what you're telling me is because Adams can't bring anybody in from outside, our power play is going to basically suck for at least the next 10 years
Basically,
because the
dude. Like,
pipeline sucks at it too.
and even like structurally, like, they're not doing anything different than they were last year. Like, it kind of looks like they still can't gain the zone. They kind of don't know what to do with it. They're still shooting from the outside. They tried like a bumper play like once, but it's going on the stick of Dylan Cousins, who is more ice cold than this chest freezer I have next to me. It's insane. So I don't really know what they're gonna do about it, and I do low key kind of feel like once they get one power play goal, they might start cruising. But that's just the optimist in me.
Yeah. Well, so it's been interesting because if you look at the results here, you lose to LA 3-1 in a game where I thought they played pretty good. I thought they'd actually deserve to win that game. Darcy Kemper played like an absolutely great game, and they just couldn't score. I think Tate Thompson hit like 4 posts himself that game. They had
Yeah,
opportunities to score that game. I want to say like the money puck like deserved to win meter was like 80%
yeah,
Sabres after
it was
that. Like
insane.
they played a good game, and if you end up winning that one, you're 3-3-1. Looks a lot better than 2-4-1. So like that's a game where I feel like got away. Not to mention Kemper then starts the next game for the Senators and lets up like 7 goals or 8 goals. It's like, really?
Yeah.
He was like a Vezina, contender against the Sabres the night before. You beat Florida in undermanned Florida, but you still get the job done at home in a 5-2 win. The overtime loss to Pittsburgh kind of sucks. You get a point. That just felt like a game. Crosby's going for like point 1600. Malkin's going for like goal 500. It was like the script writers and the hockey gods were just like not going to let the Sabres win that game on national TV that night.
Yeah. That was such a bozo game. They scored 6 even strength goals and lost. Like when has that ever happened to a team?
No, we scored 5 because it was 6 to
Or 5,
5,
yeah,
so
yeah.
we lost.
5, 5. You're right.
But still, yeah, but still, and that was a back and forth game. That was a fun game. I felt like they played kind of good. That game, like they were up 3-1, and then they gave away the lead. They were down 4-3, and then they scored a couple quick goals, like back to back, within like a minute of each other in the third to take the lead. But then they ultimately squandered the lead with like 40 seconds left. As soon as they tied that game up, Pittsburgh, and it went to overtime, like you knew they were not winning that game. It just wasn't gonna happen. But a very winnable game there. And again, the LA game, Columbus, they didn't play very good, and then you get a win against Chicago in a game where I actually thought that Chicago maybe outplayed them a little bit. But all that to say that 2-4-1, I think looks a lot worse than it is right now, and that's not an excuse for this team because it's still underperforming. But I don't think it's been like sky is falling type stuff.
I agree. And I mean, both goalies have had some stinker games so far. Like it was so funny. So Pittsburgh game,
The
UPL
back-to-back games.
was garbage. He was terrible. Like that game should have been like 5-2 us. Should have won that game. UPL was terrible. Come back the next night. I'm like, all right, Levi's going to be in. It's Columbus. I know like they're going through an emotional time and they're playing like incredibly hard right now, but it's Levi. He looks really good early. And some of those goals, dude, like sometimes during a game, if you get scored on the way Devin Levi was getting scored on, it's just a backbreaker. You just know it's not your night. Like you can't win, and it's you're doing everything you can. But Tarasov was really good in that game too for Columbus. So it's like when one goalie is like not letting in anything, and we still scored 4 goals, and Devin Levi is letting in like beach ball sized goals. It just wasn't their night. But like you said, then they come back the next game against Chicago, and Loki kind of didn't play well after the second, like second third period, and came away with a win. So it's gonna
Yeah.
be tough. It's gonna be tough for them all year because that magical uh like storyline is that if you're in the playoffs by Thanksgiving, you're really likely to make the playoffs by the end of the year. And if they're not in the playoffs by Thanksgiving, it's just like every other year in Sabres history for the last 13 years.
Yep. And we'll go into the next coming weeks at the end when we give our predictions. But they got a little bit of a tough stretch coming up. They got 4 home games coming up in a row, but they have some tough components or tough opponents coming up. So they gotta start playing better, and they got to do it against some tougher opponents that are coming into Buffalo. But speaking of the goaltending, there, just some quick numbers to kind of give a brief synopsis of kind of where we're at right now with the goalies here. So UPL on the season, he's 1-3 with a .895 save percentage, 3.26 goals against. That sounds kind of bad. That Pittsburgh game really inflated that, where he had 6 goals allowed. The other 3 games that he's played in, he's allowed 2, 2, and 3. And I felt like his last game against Chicago was by far his best game of the season. So hopefully he's starting to build on a little bit of momentum. On the contrary, you have Devin Levi, who's currently 1-2 with an 8.74 save percentage and 3.79 goals against. Again, the big 6 goals against game against Columbus, and then he's allowed 2 goals and 3 goals in the other contest. So the goaltending has been, I think, better than those numbers suggest because of the 2 like really bad games, and goaltending actually kind of kept us in some of these games. But you've had a stinker from each. What do you want to see from the goaltending position going forward? Just have them ride out UPL for a while, continue doing what they're doing.
I think they're going to continue doing what they're doing, but for both of them, I want to see like for Levi specifically, I want to see better rebound control. He's still struggling with rebounds. Like it's pretty
Yeah,
bad. And when he's not on and he's giving up big rebounds, it just looks messy. And then for UPL,
Yeah.
I just want to cut out like the stinker games. Like he can be really, really good, or he can be really, really bad. And I know he didn't get much goal support early, like in the season, but you might be getting it now because the 5-on-5 offense is really coming together. So you can't go into the Dallas game on Tuesday and UPL starts and he is terrible and allows 4 goals by the second period. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, I the schedule, the way it's set up is there's really not any back-to-backs over the next couple weeks.
right?
So because there's a little bit more space between games, I predictively I kind of think they're going to ride UPL for a little bit, especially with the poor showing from Levi and the fact that UPL seemed to play good. So I wouldn't mind. UPL plays good when they're on a streak, so I wouldn't mind seeing them maybe roll with UPL like for the next handful of games and giving Levi a little break. So I wouldn't be surprised if they let him start the next two or three and then go back to Levi when I think they have a back to back like in a couple weekends like Friday and Saturday, and that might be a good time. So I think Levi or UPL might get the next three, and I think I want to see that just to allow someone to get into a rhythm. I think it's hard to kind of like keep flip flopping like that, but
Right. I agree. So
and
I just pulled
you
up.
paid UPL.
Yeah, I just pulled up Jay Fresh's Twitter because I saw earlier this week that he dropped a like his bottom 10 and top 10 model in goal save above expected, and Levi is currently sixth last among goaltenders, with a minus 3.8 goal save above expected. He's like not playing great. Like below him, you got Pickard, Stuart, both Edmonton goalies, Pickard and Skinner, Anton Forsberg, Ivan Fedotov, and Alexander Georgiev. Those are the only goalies that are playing worse than Devin Levi. Uh, um, Based off this model.
Yeah, yeah. Does it show UPL or he's probably just not in
No,
the top
because
10 or the bottom 10, right? He's somewhere in the middle.
he only did top 10 and bottom five or top 10 and
Yeah,
bottom 10. So he's
yeah,
probably somewhere in the middle. I can pull up money pucks. I know it's like not always the best, but I really am curious to see where he is in there. You can continue talking because I'm going to try to look.
yeah. It'll be interesting to see where they are. I think like they're not gonna move Levi or send him down to
No,
Rochester unless Gibson comes back healthy and then they end up waiving and Anaheim ends up waiving Reimer and they pick him back up again. But at this point, it's these are going to be your two goalies, you know, for the foreseeable future. And what's tough is that's why I like the GSAX model because the defense in front of these guys has not been good, and they've been kind of pegged with shots and a lot of high danger chances and some defensive lapses that have led to like some scoring opportunities. So the defense hasn't been good, but they're still letting in some soft goals too.
yeah.
So it's tough when you're getting both of those poor defense on top of not the best goal play right now.
So I found it. So on Money Puck, Devin Levi's at a minus 3.3, which is it's similar to Jay Fresh's. So it's not like an outlier. And UPL is in 39th place. This is probably mostly because of the Pittsburgh game at a minus zero point 0.9 GSAX. So if he can get that above like a 1, that would be nice. Like let's get a little positive
Yeah.
here. Bring back the UPL from the first couple starts he had and the Chicago game, and I think we're doing all right here.
Yeah, I think like a fair want or like projection for UPL would be to kind of finish where he did like last season. I want to say he was like ended the season like plus 11 like
Yeah.
overall. You know, like he should definitely be a plus goalie, especially with the contract, you know, that we handed out. And he's good enough and talented to do so. With Levi, I think he has the ability to be a plus goalie, but if he can just kind of be level, I would take that in year 2 while he's kind of still adjusting to things. We'll see, but all right, let's transition next into the power play here. We mentioned this earlier 0 for 21. The league average right now is currently at 20.45. We talked about how important it is to have at least a league average power play, if not a little bit better than that. The Sabres were, what were they last year? Around like 18 or 19%. So I don't even know if they were
Yeah,
that
they
high.
were
Maybe they
brutal.
were
I
around
mean,
17.
they were in the bottom 10. I know for a fact. They were terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are your thoughts right now on this power play? I mean, 0 for 21. It's like, it's almost hard to believe.
I think power play is mostly coaching. Like I've said it before, and we this is why everyone was on Matt Ellis's ass. last
Yeah,
year.
sorry. League
Because
average. Sorry to interrupt, but league average is, or the Sabres were 16.6%
oh my
last season,
God, that is
and
fucking terrible.
the league average last season was 21%. So like where the league average is right now is probably where it's going to end up. So
Yeah.
21%. So
Well,
that's kind
the
of like
power
a
play.
floor you want to be at.
They can't gain the zone,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
when they do gain the zone, it just looks bad. Like they don't know what to do, or I don't know, man. I'm not really liking the Seth Appert power play right now. His power play in Rochester was like a 18% ish. Like it wasn't good. The last time it was good was when Quinn and Paterka were on it, who are obviously like NHLers. So I don't really know what we're gonna do here. Like hopefully they can score their way out of it and start to change some things up, but I'm not really seeing any difference than last year.
Do you think it's a personnel issue or more of a like style issue
I want to see them put Ryan McLeod on the power play. That's like the one change that I think that if they made that they would benefit from because he is turning into my
in
favorite
the
player.
bumper?
Yeah, replace Cousins, put Cousins on PP2, maybe even off the power play altogether. Just focus on his offensive game or his 5-on-5 game. The kid is thinking way too much. Put McLeod out there,
Hmm.
see what happens. Let's. You can't really you can't do any worse than what they're doing. You know.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they still have Cousins out there. I don't know if I wonder if that's just like to try and get him a goal and like just get some confidence or whatever, but like you said, at this point it's kind of like, listen, like give him like less to focus on and just see if he can kind of work out of it that way. He doesn't necessarily need the goals, but if he could just get positive ice time and whatever, then that would be a move in the right direction, because he's definitely, you could just tell he struggled with it last year. He's just in his head a little bit too much, and I don't know if he's pressing or whatnot. But the kid's got a lot of fans in Buffalo. I just feel like he puts so much pressure on himself. I just want him to kind of relax a little bit out there and play. But yeah, I don't know. I think against Chicago, the power play showed some positive signs of life in the latest game. I do think they had a couple like really good chances to score on the power play, and they got robbed a couple times by the goaltending in Chicago. But so there seems to be some trend in the right direction. I'd welcome the McLeod for Cousins switch. I think, I don't know, man. It's an enigma, because I don't think, as much as that could be one personnel switch, I don't think the personnel is the issue. Like these guys are talented enough to make it work.
Yeah, it shouldn't be this bad. That's
No,
why it's
it shouldn't.
frustrating. You know.
Yeah, and it's not like it's just a shooting thing, because they haven't gotten just like a robbed a ton of time. They're just having trouble getting set up. Like they're having trouble getting. It was the same problem last year. They're having trouble gaining the zone and possessing the puck and getting things moving around. And a lot of these teams, when we're trying to get set up, it's not like they're playing high pressure on us. It's just actually getting set up is a problem for them.
Yeah, a lot of times I think they go too fast. I don't know if you've noticed this, but like I think last year they were told like, "Hey, you're way too slow. You're not making guys move on the PK, and you're just so predictable." And this year, I think they're like getting the puck and just moving it like it's a hot potato, and it's not like correlating into anything really. It's just pass, pass, pass. Here's a horrible shot from the blue line, and then it gets cleared, or we lose the face off and it gets cleared, and then we spend the next minute and a half trying to re-enter the zone. And it's like, what are we doing here, guys? Like it should not be this hard.
They've had Benson in the bumper, right?
I think a couple times, and I think he spent a lot of the time on power play two in the bumper. Sometimes I think power play two looks better than power play one.
I just like Benson's a guy I wouldn't mind seeing like move out of the bumper and having them put like on a wing, just because when he's, for being so young, he's so good with like puck retention and like play on the boards,
Mhm.
that if they get caught in there, I think he could do a good job of like maintaining puck possession and kind of cycling it around the zone again. Whereas like that's honestly something, for as good as Tage is like ripping one timers, he kind of struggles with that. Like he's not great along the boards, especially on the power play. And I feel like he tries to do too much. I think a lot of mistakes have kind of come from Thompson on the power play. So I just wonder if like kicking Benson out a little bit more once in a while could be helpful. I don't know.
There's just so much, dude.
There's things they got to try, because what they're doing right now is clearly not working.
Over 21, dude. I can't like saying it just disgusts me.
Yeah, that's brutal. That's brutal. And I mean, if you get a hot streak and you net 3 of the next 9, you get to, but even then you're 3 of 30. You're looking at 10%. Like you're still running behind. Like it's been a truly like awful start to the season
Right.
for the power play. So they got to figure it out because they're not going to get they're not going to stack wins if they can't get the power play going. But all right, let's shift over to the defense here. Not a great start for the defense. I think we've allowed like 26 goals already so far this year. We're sitting at like 3.5 goals a game, maybe just
Yep.
above that for a team that's emphasis is improving the defense, which they did last year, and we noted that. It's not off to the best start this year. What are you thinking of the defensive pairings? We already kind of touched on Darlene not being 100%, but what do you think of the pairs or the defense so far to start the season?
I got to give credit to Owen Power and Bowen Barham because so far they've been really good. Like they were really bad against Pittsburgh. Like clearly, like they were terrible against that game. That's okay to say. But the other times, it really looks like Owen Power is taking the next step in his development. And Bowen Barham, as much as everyone bitches about not having Casey Middlestad anymore, and he's off to a really nice start on the score sheet in Colorado, Barham looks the part to me. So I'm not upset with those two at all. Darlene is injured. Excuse me. Darlene is injured. It's clear. Even Lindy said that he was injured still, which is so frustrating, man. It's just so frustrating. This guy can never like have a consistent all-star like elite season. Like he's so good, and he's either injured or just forgets how to play hockey for the first 3 months.
Yeah.
And then he's paired with this fucking Henry Yoki. I can't stand him. I can't believe he's still here. I mean, probably a really nice guy, but not a first pair defenseman. And the bottom
People
pair
love him.
is
People are saying he's like playing great hockey.
no, I don't see it. I really don't see
I
it.
mean, I went in on him last episode, and I think he
And
had a
the
rough couple games. It's been better, but
the bottom pair too, like man, dude, Samuelson's really struggling. Like Clifton is playing like a decent bottom pair guy, but Samuelson has really just been struggling since the first game.
yeah,
He's the guy I
yeah,
want to see come out. I put in Gilbert, put in Bryson. He's got to sit. He has to, or else all the
yeah. I
accountability
mean,
bullshit means nothing.
yeah, and I mean Bryson hasn't seen a game yet. I mean, I wouldn't mind throwing him in to sit Samuelson down. I don't know. I don't know why it hasn't happened already. Maybe he doesn't want to sit one of his A's because Cousins hasn't sat yet either, and he's another candidate to maybe sit down. But I want to touch on that bottom pair a little bit in a second, but I wanted to talk about Darlene real quick. What's interesting is that when he got banged up, they labeled it as like a mid body injury, like mid upper body injury, which is
Yeah.
so hard. It's vague, but like I'm trying to think of like what could that be because the problem I'm
So,
seeing with him is more like I feel like I'm seeing more of like the legs being an issue. Like he doesn't
so
seem like
I'm pretty positive that it's a sports hernia, which would
like that would
explain
make
his
sense to me.
it would explain his lack of explosiveness.
Yeah.
So like one
Like
day it could be he could feel fine, and then the next day he could feel terrible. And it's hard, man. It's really like we can
how do you
touch on
where's
this.
what are you sourcing on this? Like is this
I
just
don't know.
like
I have no idea. It just looks like
okay,
that
this is
pain.
just intuition.
No,
Okay.
it just looks. Lindy said he's
This is
like
just Dr. Ryan.
Lindy said he's had a mid body injury. Like what can possibly be injured unless it's a core injury, which it's I mean it can't be. So do you remember when he got injured in practice or training camp and like he literally like passed the puck and
Yeah,
then left the ice?
that's what I was referring to. Like
Like
that's the only thing we've gotten.
so I'm pretty sure that he herniated. Like what is it like the actual thing called herniated himself? I have no idea. Someone's gonna text me tomorrow and rip me for that. But it just makes so much sense to me, dude. He can't move. He can't move like he used to.
I mean that's a possibility. Again, this is all speculation, but it's hard not to speculate because that's the only thing that would explain it because there's a definite lack of explosiveness. There's a lack of I mean it comes off on the ice as almost like a lack of urgency or a lack of compete or a lack of hustle, but everyone knows that's not Darlene. So he
Right.
has to be playing banged up, especially when he's got the C on his sweater now. Like he's not. That's not how he's going to play. So there's
Well,
something going on there,
I wanted to
and it
bring in
sucks.
I wanted to bring in the Darlene Krebs situation from practice a week ago. So this is me also. I'm just full of like juicy speculation today. So everyone saw it. Peyton Krebs uh, went after Darlene a little bit in practice,
Oh yeah, we didn't talk
and
about this.
Darlene responded by laying him out and then immediately dropping the gloves and started pounding him. Which I mean, whatever, dude. It's hockey. Boys will be boys. It happens. But Darlene is frustrated clearly. Like it's clear. And if
Yeah,
he's
he is.
injured and then, you know, taking it out on a teammate in practice, it just sucks. Like it's clear that he's frustrated and injured and it's just not going well and we're only in October.
Yeah, I'm like more, as lame as it sounds, I'm kind of more on the side with that whole situation that like that was kind of unnecessary from Donley. Like I get the whole boys will be boys and stuff, but
Yep.
like he went low on him and like he was like he lined him up. Like he was looking to like do some damage, to a
Yeah,
teammate.
and
I'm
then he
like,
dropped him.
dude,
And then
why?
he
Yeah.
dropped the
So like
gloves.
from your captain, I mean, I understand people defending him and being like, "Oh, intensity and stuff," but like, it's kind of just like I don't know. It was unnecessary. It wasn't cool,
Yeah.
and
I
they've
was
talked about
indifferent.
it and whatnot.
I was like, yeah, I
But
mean, that's like great for intensity purposes, but like also at the same time, like you said, it's kind of a bad look.
yeah, and they came out in the media and said the right things. But I wouldn't be surprised if Krebs is going home and tell his family like, "Yeah, Darlene was kind of a dick." Like, like that
I
honestly wouldn't surprise me. Like, you
mean,
can't help but not think that.
they're all boys. They all go on vacation together. Like they've been on vacation together multiple times. Like they're all friends, and they definitely like apologize or whatever. But did you see Peyton Krebs'
It just
post?
goes to show you
Did you
about the
see his
frustration, like
Did
we
you see
talked
his
about.
post on Instagram afterwards?
No.
He posted like a picture of the two of them like celebrating, and it was like
Oh yeah, yeah,
me when my BFF and I assist on a sick goal.
yeah,
It's like, all right, you guys apologize, like made up, it's fine. But still, I want more from the captain, but I don't know how
yeah.
much he can give until he's fully healthy, and I don't really know. I've never had a sports hernia or like a hernia of any kind, so I'm not really sure how that can really heal over the course of a season.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's tough because I mean, one of the best things for that is just kind of rest, and it's like, is he gonna take time off and kind of let things heal up a little bit? I mean, you're stressing the core and that abdominal area every game. All your power comes from there, so it wouldn't be surprise me if this is something that kind of is nagged a little bit, if that's what it is. I mean, again, that's just Dr. Ryan coming at you
Dr. Ryan, baby. Now that I'm a dad, I just
with some
speculate on everything.
with some rumor boys speculation. But all right, so then I do want to touch on the bottom pair real quick, and Samuelson and Clifton. It's not like they've been getting heavy minutes, but I don't see the value with Samuelson right now. He's been a net negative. He's been a liability on the ice. Just to me, he's a player, and this happened last season too. I almost get this sense from him that there's just these like lapses in concentration on the ice, almost like a it's not going to happen to me type thing, where like, oh, like the
Interesting.
play won't come to me, or like he's just not alert at all times, and it's like it's a weird thing where like he seems caught off guard or surprised by plays way too often, where I'm like, why are you not kind of like thinking a step ahead and like what could anticipating the play and like what could happen? If I feel like he's caught watching a lot, and that's what frustrates me, because then when he gets the puck, like the giveaway against the Devils, when he was trying to outlet it to Zucker there, I think it was in game two. It's like, it seems, if he's going through that and then he gets the puck, it's like, what do I do? Like, he's not thinking ahead of the game, and then he makes these issues, and then or he's not in a good defensive position, and a guy walks right in, like it happened last game, and scores on UPL. I just he he doesn't focus enough, and that's what pisses me off, because I think he can be a good player, and we've given him some kudos on this show before, but he's too inconsistent. And at this point, I'm like, dude, you can't keep this up. You got to A.
Yeah, dude. So what team was it? Was it Columbus or Pittsburgh where he had the puck on the left corner and threw it to the right side of the ice, and then they immediately got scored on? Do you remember this?
Uh, I believe it was one of those games. I didn't see the Columbus game,
But that's like
and
the thing I'm talking about. Like that you're talking about. He gets the puck and then throws it to like an area and nothing happens. Then we get scored on. It's like, dude,
yeah,
pick your head up, put the puck in the right spot, go off the glass and out. Like, stop trying to make these plays. Like, that's not in your game.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we've had probably at least 3 goals that are a result of like his mistakes alone, and like that just can't happen in
Yeah,
seven
or,
games. That just
dude, you know what
can't
pissed me
happen.
off too against Pittsburgh? So the puck is transitioning from right to left on the screen, and Samuelson's last guy back, and the puck goes from the left side to the middle where he is. He could have just stepped up and broke the play up, and then it would have been dead there, killed the play there. Instead, he turns his back to forward skate to pick up momentum, and then turns around and has no idea where the puck is, and then it goes in the net. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, he got cooked on a 2-on-1 a few games ago too, where he basically like he didn't know what to do. He didn't commit to the puck, but he didn't commit to the pass either, and then he just like tripped over his feet and like landed on the ice and just slid into UPL. Like I just don't understand. The guy is just I don't know. He's got some work to do
And
for
he got a
sure.
letter,
But
dude. And he got a letter. What does that mean? Like, well, come on.
that's what makes me question somewhat of what Lindy's doing, where it's like I don't know, man. Like Cousins and Samuelson, I know they're not playing good, and you probably like their grit and stuff, and so do I. But like Samuelson, questionable. Cousins, questionable. Like maybe we should have just went with Tuck Thompson and Darlene. Not that that
Yeah,
matters, but it's just kind of like where's what's Lindy seeing in these guys at the moment? Like I don't know, and maybe he just doesn't have any other options. But I mean, I'm at a
right,
point now where I'm like throwing Gilbert or throwing Bryson on that bottom line and let him sit because I don't think Clifton's been terrible. So
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
like Clifton's been fine in my opinion. So I have no issue with him trying out a different partner. But before
yeah.
we
We're
get
both done.
into some of the forwards here, I just want to shout out Power and Byram too because I think they have been playing good and definitely our best pair so far. But let's go into forwards, and we're gonna do some highlight and low light, kind of like a little studs and duds section here as we work through some of the forwards. We won't necessarily talk about everybody, but some players that we're kind of given high honors to from the last week of games or the last 5 or 6 games, and some guys that we think need to improve. So what do you want? Who do you want to talk about first? You want to go first? We'll start with the let's start with the highlights because I feel like we
Okay,
were just
thank
kind of
God.
negative on the D for a
Was
little
really
bit.
hoping that you would say that. Which guy? Okay, you want me to pick first?
Yeah, yeah, you go
Because there's
first.
there's a
Whoever you want.
bevy. There's surprisingly in a 2-4 and 1 start. There's a couple options we could hit on to shower with praise. I got to start with Ryan McLeod. This guy
Okay,
is
I knew
so
you were
good.
going there.
This guy is so good. I might buy his jersey. Matt Savoy, who? Who? People dogged us this summer for this trade, and this guy is the perfect third line center. Like, I see the vision in replacing Middlestat with him. He flies. He's got decent offensive instincts. He wins faceoffs. No one wins faceoffs on this team except for him.
Yeah, he wins faceoffs. Yep.
He's a penalty kill demon, and I know the penalty kill has been great,
Yeah,
but
he is penalty kill demon.
that's also kind of goaltending related. But when he's out there, he's always a threat to take the puck down the ice or be
Hmm.
in good defensive position. He's a battler on the wall. My God, I'm struggling. Fuck. He's just good. And I want to see him on the power play, man. I think he's got more to give, and he's young. He's a young player too. He's only 24 years old.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about like him getting power play time, but I'm not opposed to that. I mean, he's been good. He's got what? He's got I think 3 goals now or 2 goals, points in 3 straight games. Like he's starting to heat up a little bit. And that third line in a few of these games has been our best line. I mean, Greenway's banged up now, and hopefully
Are
he's
you
back. But
transitioning to one of his line mates there?
no, I don't think so. I'm just talking about how like he is driving that line good, and he contributes in so many different areas, like you said, the face offs, the penalty kill, and he looks really good. Not to mention just the straight line speed that he has. So through 7 games, it looks good. So I'm excited to see what happens, with him as the season goes on. But you got anything else on McLeod before I move on?
Nope. Let's see. Give me your highlight.
I'm not going to Greenway, although Greenway has definitely been good. I feel like I have to go to Tage
Okay.
right now. He's got what 4 goals
Yeah.
already,
He's heating
and
up.
the
He's
thing,
heating up.
yeah, he's heating up. He could probably have closer to 6 or 7 goals. He's hit a bunch of posts already. But you're starting to see some more of like what we saw a couple years ago, where like the his goal the last game off the rush, which by the way, like his last goal was an absolute sick, just filthy pass from Paterka, just like a little drop pass, and then Tage just like rips. Like that line is just so fun with the three of them.
Yep.
But that was like such a quick release, like wrister, like Tage goal. He's had some goals where he's just kind of been battling like down low. If he starts like getting goals in other ways like that, like by grinding some more goals out. I mean, this is a guy that we talked about last season that scored almost 30, being banged up all season, and now people are starting to question like, oh, is he more that player or is he more the player that we saw before? This guy's got 4 goals already. He's starting to heat up, and for him, the goals can come in bunches. And so I like the fact that he's off to a hot start. Has he missed some shots and some opportunities? Yes, but those are going to come, and I think he's priming himself for a big season. I think he's one of the players that is taking that assistant captain role and 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 taking it to the next level. He's talking to the refs with plays. He's focused on the ice. He doesn't look distracted. You can just see there's a confidence with him this season. I think that comes down to health, but also just feeling like he's a true leader on this team now. And I expect big things from this season, and he's off to a good start.
I agree, man. He is like you said. He's starting to use his body a little bit more. There's been like a couple of his goals where he's like you said, banging him in the front of the net, like dirtier, like not traditional Tage Thompson style goals. And man, like you said, that's going to be scary for the league if he's really figuring it out there. And he's
Mm-hmm.
also like, playing pretty well defensively, I will say, like active stick, using that long reach. So, like you said, that line is very fun. They're pretty much dominating at 5-on-5.
Oh my god, that line has been insane. Yep. All right,
So I'm gonna let you go ahead.
let's do another highlight each, and then we can get a couple lowlights at the end.
Okay.
But let's stick with the
I'm,
positivity right now.
okay. Since I we're gonna do I think we're gonna stick with the line mate theme here. So I'm gonna go Jordan Greenway. And
Okay. All right.
this guy looks like a stud. Like what's
The
happening?
green machine, green machine,
He looks
green
pretty good,
machine.
man. Using his body, he looks much faster. A lot of questions over the summer about will he fit Lindy's system, blah blah blah, all this bullshit. He looks pretty good, man. He's using his power and he's really playing well on that third line. And he's keeping up the speed too. So it's nice to see him like settling into a nice role.
Yeah, I think that's where having Lindy will help him, right? Because
Yep.
Lindy's a coach where he can define a specific role for Greenway, and Greenway can kind of see his value there, right? And
Yep.
whereas maybe Don and them wanted him to try and be more offensive and try to turn him into something that he's necessarily not. Like he has some offensive ability, but he's more he's more of kind of like a puck control guy, or he's more of like he can get his aggression and kind of make people a little bit aware like on the ice with clearing bodies from the front of the net and things, and he's done that well at the start of this season. So I think he's a guy who's benefited from having Lindy here just to kind of maybe condense things a little bit for him and make the game a little bit easier and say, look, like when you're out here, this is what you're going to do because your line mates are doing this and this. And if he does that well, it can open up some of the scoring opportunities for him, which it has. And he's capitalized. So yeah, I don't blame you. He's looked good. That third line's really clicking. I'm just looking. He's going to be a he's going to be an RFA or is he going to be a UFA after this year?
UFA at the end of the year.
Yeah, yeah. So he'll be a UFA. So they'll have to make a decision with that. Do you anticipate that they'll sign him again
I don't
if
know.
he has a nice
I
season?
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, he's not going to get paid by any means, so he might come back on
No.
like a
I mean he's
cheaper
making
one
3 million
year.
now.
Yeah,
So
like a cheaper 1 year or another 2 year. We'll see what happens with him. Let's see if this is the real Jordan Greenway first before we
yeah.
do contract stuff.
Yeah.
Give me
All
your
right.
last
Well,
highlight.
so the last highlight I'm gonna have because I don't want to go a whole show without talking about this guy too much. first off, Paterka's back and looks healthy. That's awesome. He's going to be an animal this year, and I'm glad he's back. But I gotta give a highlight to Yuri Kulik. This
Okay,
this kid
this is great.
is this kid is here to stay. You cannot send him down now. He's shown that he's an NHL player. He was I think our best player on the ice. Well, aside from the top line against the Blackhawks, I think Kulik was our best player. He looks calm out there. He's using his size more. He's not like getting bumped off pucks easily. He's controlling the puck and he looks good. Like on the power play, is getting some power play time, and he's been good. I feel like he's contributed with like forechecking and things. So
Yeah,
there's just a lot more like to his game. You can tell he's more well rounded, and there's a confidence there right now. And I'm excited for him. I want to see what he continues to do, but I think he's off to a good start. He's one of those guys. The Sabres have been scoring a lot of 5-on-5. If that power play can get going and Kulik can be one of the guys, he's a guy you could see kind of ripping off a few goals in a few game stretches and really kind of cementing his place even further.
I totally agree, dude. That's the great analysis by you. He,
His
well,
like the way he like he's it's not like he's got the puck on a string, like Bedard or these guys. Like he's fine with the puck, but he's just like his composure with the puck this year has been has been great. Where like he's not panicking with it, he's controlling it on the boards when he's needed to. But in open space, I think he's just done a good job with his decision making. He's finding open ice to go to when he doesn't have the puck. It's just been there's been a lot of good there.
yeah, he looks like a legitimate NHLer. Like that's really
Hmm.
what you can sum it up. Like there was a lot of Cooley credit rhetoric from some of the media and some Amherst fans that he can't play D and that he coasts, and I haven't seen any of that. Like he's been legitimately good defensively, and like you said, battling for pucks, man, he's coming out with it more often than not. So this is a well-rounded player here, and like you said, I want him to. I think he stays.
Yeah, and these young kids like Benson last year, the longer you stay up and the longer you learn from these guys and just get used to the game, like the more you just feel a sense of like, all right, I belong here, and that confidence grows, and then it can just kind of keep blossoming throughout the season, and we'll see what happens with him as the season goes on. But it's been a good start for sure. All right, let's hit a couple lowlights here,
Let's
and
do
then we can
one low light.
recap
Let's
the
do one low light because I don't want to talk
yeah.
negative anymore.
Yeah. Just doesn't have to be any crazy analysis. Just probably have already hit on it a little bit, but get a couple lowlights and then we'll give our predictions for the upcoming week.
Someone that we haven't talked about yet is Jack Quinn. Dude, what's
Yeah.
up? What's up with this kid? Like he looks like he hasn't played hockey in months. Like he had one okay game, and then the rest have just been like, like, like benchable. Honestly,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
slow.
He did get benched.
He looked. Oh yeah, he did. He did get sad. He looks slow. He can't make a decision with the puck when it's on his stick. He's losing puck battles. I'm just like, it's concerning, dude. But he's so good. Like we know how good he is. You got to think that he snaps out of it, right?
Yeah. Like, I don't think he has the yips. Like, I don't think that's it at all. I just think that it's been, it's kind of been like, although he had somewhat of a normal offseason, we were hoping that that helps. It's not like you're simulating real hockey out there. So it's for him, it's kind of been like over a year, like since he played like real professional hockey, and I think that's part of it because you can tell the conditioning is not there. The quick footwork and agility is not there. He's getting beat to a lot of pucks and he looks gassed at times. The puck control is not great right now. I will say I think Chicago, although a lot of the rhetoric coming out of it was kind of negative for Quinn, I didn't really think so. I thought that he played his best game in Chicago, which isn't saying a lot because it wasn't even like a great game, but it felt like to me he was maybe working through some things. So I think it might still take him a couple weeks to kind of get up to speed, but I don't want to see him. I think Lindy sat him once, which is good. I don't want to see him necessarily sit anymore because I think he's just got to kind of play his way out of it. But I think he'll be fine. But the problem with that is I'll just have my low light be Cousins. That's the low hanging fruit. But the problem with that is we know when Quinn goes, Cousins goes, and those guys are
Yep.
kind of a pair right now. So I think the fact that Quinn's really struggling has kind of added to some of Cousins' struggles in a way, which Cousins' struggles are completely on his own. Because I think Chad said it really good that like he's he's not of the mind that like move. We've talked about it too. Like, okay, can you move Cousins to wing? It's like that's an
I've been a big
option.
proponent of that.
Yes, and I thought Chad tweeted it good, which is kind of what I was thinking as well. Is like you could do that, and that's an option, but that's not going to address like what we're seeing right now with Cousins. Like the fault we're seeing with Cousins right now is just like changing a position, just shifting him to the wing isn't gonna fix that. So I truly just think with Cousins, it's kind of mental, like it was last season. But I don't know, man. He is the one player right now on this top six. Even despite how bad Quinn has looked, Cousins is still the one. As much as I like him, that I'm kind of questioning the most of like, is he a true like top six guy in the NHL? Like, or is he more of like a third liner? I don't know. Maybe that sounds harsh, but because he's making 7 million, but I'm kind of like, dude, at some point we got to see it, man.
I will say though, the last like game or two, he has looked a little bit more like old Dylan Cousins, like taking it to the net. He's getting chances. He's just not scoring. So calling out Jay Fresh again because I pulled up another one of his things. Dylan Cousins. He is currently out of 649 skaters. He's 645th at goals above, scored above expected. So he is just not shooting the puck in the net. Basically, is what you can just say. Like he's getting his chances. Like number one on that list is Zach Hyman, minus 2.5 goals expected, and he has zero. So Cousins
Yeah,
is at minus 1.9, so about 2 goals. He should have about two-ish goals here. Like, and he's just not
yeah,
getting it. So I don't know if it's the shooting talent or what, or if he's like you said, he's not confident. But at least like he's kind of getting the chances now. Hopefully he can play himself out of it because if we're gonna be like even sniffing 90 points, 95 points, we need him.
yeah. I'll summarize it like this: where I'm at with these two right now is that I have a little bit more faith in Cousins kind of breaking out of it sooner than Cousins because I see Quinn as more of a true top six player. I just think he's got to get used to things, and I'm a little bit more worried about Cousin just dragging on from last season and the slow start to this season. I still have faith there, but I'm starting to kind of raise my panic alarm just a little bit with him.
Yep.
But all right, let's look at the week ahead here and see what we got. We'll hopefully be back next week in some
Oh, we're back.
regard.
We're doing it. We're getting a
Yeah,
schedule going. We're coming back.
yeah. I think things have kind of settled down now. I know October is a busy month with the holidays and things, but I think we're in it. We'll hopefully be back in a good, more of a week to week pattern. So we mentioned the 4 game homestand earlier. We got Tuesday, which if you're listening to this, we're recording on a Monday night, so the Tuesday game has not happened yet. But we got Tuesday at Dallas. Saturday is the Halloween game against Detroit. Your boy will be there. I got some sweet tickets from a patient of mine, so I'm super excited about that. And then we got Monday, the following week, Monday at Florida, Friday at the Islanders. So that's the 4 game homestand. So let's why don't we right now, because I'm assuming we'll probably chat sometime early next week, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. So why don't we give predictions for these next 3 games, the Dallas, Detroit, and Florida game?
Okay,
6
good.
possible points. What do you think the Sabres are going to do there?
This is good because that Friday game is a long ways away. So
Yeah, exactly.
say,
Yeah.
let's see. I'm thinking. Hmm. I'm thinking they go 1-0 and 2. Two overtime
1
losses.
0 and 2.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's what sucks about this slow start because it's like you go 1 0 and 2, you're basically like 3 and 7. I mean, if you count
Yeah.
the 2 overtimes,
Yeah.
you're basically
I'm
like
just not
4 and
feeling it,
7.
man.
And
I'm not feeling it right now. And last year I was so
I know.
optimistic about it, and they just never put it together, and it looks too similar in some aspects.
I am going to say in these games, you're going 1-0-2, man. You wouldn't even go 1-0-1. You think we're going to get
No.
two overtime losses there. I will predict that the Sabres go 2-1 in this stretch.
Okay. Okay. I would like it.
I think they need to. If they can go 2-1. They'll be almost back to 500. We'll be riding high, and I'm going to predict that they win the Dallas game and they win the Detroit game, and then they lose to Florida because I don't think they're going to win 2 games against Florida early on in the season. I think Detroit is a beatable opponent, and they've been off to a little bit of a shaky start, anyways. And then Dallas, is as good as they are, I don't know. I think they've been away from home for a while. They're gonna be back at home. I think that could be a game that they're kind of energized and ready to play back in front of the fans again. And and we'll see. But I'm gonna say 2-1 over this
Okay.
next stretch.
I it would be nice. That's all I'll say.
All right. So with that, I think we're good, right?
Yeah, I think we're good until we come back next week, and it was really nice to hop back on here. Now I get to go back into my crazy little world that I got going on here.
Finishing up an hour almost, like right on the dot.
Yep.
That is nice. All right, folks. Well, thanks for listening. And as always, if you don't follow us on Twitter or Instagram, check out the show notes below. We will also post the episodes on YouTube as always. So if you don't subscribe to the channel on YouTube, subscribe there as well. But we will be back with everybody next week. Until then, as always, stay safe in the Sabrehood, and we'll see you next week. Later.
See ya.